good day. Welcome back. Welcome back. We have been praying and will continue to do so. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. I know, like many of you, motherhood is a challenge sometimes. And as an aunt, it's especially challenging because, you know, I just want to scold them, but I don't want to really bring out any kind of rod of any sort. But you'll hear a little bit about that in the sermon, how sometimes we have to be corrected. So I welcome y'all to this place. I ask that the Holy Spirit come in and dwell with us so that we can all be one in worship. And I'm so very glad that we're back here together. I do have a couple of people that I need to add to the prayer list. One is that Lafice Fielder's sister, Vicki Burden is Bearden, thank you, that didn't sound right. Bearden is in hospice now, has a brain tumor, and there's not a whole lot they can do. She's been in treatments, but she's not expected to live too much longer. Just a very grave situation, so if you'll continue to pray for her and her family and for Lafice Fielder, who lost her brother last year. And so just continue to lift them up in your prayers. And also, for all the people that are quarantined, Deborah has been saying really good prayers for Betty and for you. I know it's difficult, and we continue to lift y'all up as well. And then Elaine Barbara Pittman's daughter is getting married on Saturday. I'm doing their service, their wedding service or wedding worship at the Pittman's house. It's a private service. We'll be in prayer for Elaine and Mike as they come together. They will be living in Arkansas, and just continue to keep them in your prayers. And is there anybody that I missed this morning, or we need to add anybody? Yes.
My brother Tommy is taking a turn for the worse, and I think he's going into hospice tomorrow.
Okay. Wrong. Tommy Lott. Tommy Lott going into hospice tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, Sonny.
You can have a thing about our dog off the list.
Okay. Okay. I know that takes a while sometimes to get over. But I will do that.
Linda, James Fowler is in the Navy, not the Army, and he's on that USS Theodore Roosevelt ship. James Fowler's in the Navy.
In the Navy, okay, all right.
I haven't had an update from his dorm parents, but I think he's doing better. And he had an interview with Jason Crowder on the WFCA last week, and it was good to hear him.
Okay.
He sounded real good. But he was on that USS Theodore Roosevelt that's been in the news.
Did he have the virus? Or
He had the virus. He was one of the guys that, had to get off the boat and was quarantined.
In Guam.
Yeah.
Let's pray. He was in Turpin Dorm. I know y'all probably reading that, but he was in Turpin Dorm, the dorm that we adopted. So let's continue to pray for him and his family. And just continue to pray for the people that are sheltering in place that don't feel like they can get out. Mel Johnson, Polly, when comfortable coming. Malone, of course, wants to be in worship but can't. So let's just continue to pray for those people that we know in our own circle of friends that are still isolated, because it's a difficult place to be. So let's continue to lift them up. Also, just want to again remind you of the dates of July 26th and 27th. It is the annual conference. We're not sure what that looks like. There's a lot of different plans going on and a lot of different plans changing every day. They may have the licensing service for Jane and Mortimer online, maybe an online experience, and either way it will be online, but it may just be online. So I'll continue to keep you updated about that, but I just want to remind you of that as well. And then Mary Margaret Ferguson graduated from school. She is now a teacher. She is excited, and so I have a card that I will hopefully get to you to sign. It's a very large card that we're going to give to her just to celebrate with her, since they're not having any kind of festivities to celebrate. I think that's about it. am thine, O Lord, on 4:19. Lord, today we come to you on this day of celebration, this day where we recognize that mothers in this world are full of love for their children. And Lord, when that is not the case, you step in. God, you always provision us and you guide us, and your Son came to teach us how to love others. And Lord, he taught his disciples everything that he knew. He poured his love into them. He made the lame walk and the blind to see. And he kept telling the disciples what was coming in their future. He tried to explain to them that he would not be with them in body, that he would be there in spirit. Lord, help us today to believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to God, our Father, except through Jesus the Son. So Lord, help us together today to pray the prayer that the Son of yours taught his disciples, saying together, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass say the Apostles' Creed. I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and buried. The third day he arose from the dead. He ascended into heaven and sitteth at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From thence he shall come to judge the quick and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting. Amen. You may be seated. Jesus is all the world to me. Again, I welcome you to this wonderful place where we can worship together. Today, I thank you for your gifts and for your faithfulness, and let all honor and glory go to God this morning. I'm going to be reading from John chapter 14, 1 through 14. But first, I'm going to read you right before that in chapter 13, verses 34 and 35. Robin Greenlee sent this verse to me in one of her little envelopes that says "Guess Who" on the envelope, and she sent it to me on April the 9th of 2020, and I wanted you to hear this because this is a vital part of our message today. It So now I am giving you a new commandment, Jesus says, to love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. And now on to 14, 1 through 14. Don't let your heart be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There's more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am, and you know the way to where I am going. No, we don't know that, Lord, Thomas said. We have no idea where you're going, so how can we know the way? Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. If you had really known me, you would know who my Father is. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Philip said, Lord, show us the Father, and we will be satisfied. Jesus replied, have I been with you all of this time, Philip, and yet you still don't know who I am? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. So why are you asking me to show him to you? Don't you believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words I speak are not my own, but my Father, who lives in me, does his work through me. Just believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. Or at least believe because of the work you have seen me do. I tell you the truth. Anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done, and even greater works, because I am going to be with the Father. You can ask for anything in my name, and I will do it, so that the Son can bring glory to the Father. Yes, ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. This is the word of God for you, the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Jesus loves me, deep down now. Yay!
Sing it all the way through. Jesus
loves me, deep down now. This Bible tells me so.
little
But you really know the day is wrong. Yeah.
yes, Jesus.
Love me, this Bible tells me so.
Good job.
Yay!
Mother's Day. And Meg is teaching her child the very thing that she needs to know. The most important thing that she needs to know. That she needs to love Jesus because Jesus loves her so much. And I don't know about you, but that guidance by Meg and her interaction with the LFA just warms my heart, and I have watched it so many times that it just makes me smile because there's so much love between them as they learn from each other how to praise Jesus for his love. Mothers teach us how to be responsible. They teach us how to be respectful. And they teach us love from the very, very beginning. Even before we're born, they're loving us. They know that we are growing inside of them, and I know that that has got to be one of the most intimate feelings that you can ever have. I will tell you that when a baby comes into this world, it is almost impossible not to smile and not to hug that child and love that child and teach that child. Patience is key with babies, as y'all all know. As an aunt, I know that as well. It's difficult sometimes to love the unlovable because when they're 15 and 16, something happens in those little bodies of theirs and those little minds of theirs that just make you want to pull their hair out. And that's when you go back and you do stuff like this. She was once a beautiful child, and I taught her better. All parents are by design teachers. They guide their children. Moms pour out their love for us when we were babies. They show us how to receive love, and they show us how to respond and give love. Moms model good behavior and set a level of expectation early on with what they want their children to do. They provide their children invaluable lessons throughout their lifetime. Carol Gore Little was born in Memphis during a snowstorm. Grew up in Marks, Mississippi. She then went to Dutch State where she met my dad. She grew up in a traditional home in Marks. Her dad was an attorney and in the legislature. And Big Mama, as I called her, was a stay-at-home mom with 5 children. And Carol was the baby. She was a tad bit spoiled. She had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. As I was growing up in Greenwood, my mother was also a stay-at-home mom. She shopped at Antunes in downtown Greenwood. There were big plate glass windows across both corners of this corner lot. We loved to go in there with Dad and I did with my mama, and we would try and sneak away from her so we could crawl up underneath those round silver wire racks, big racks. And the best thing about those racks is they revolved. And we always helped the customers out. Whenever they were looking for things, we would turn those racks around. So we made sure that they saw all sides of that rack. We were very helpful that way. And we were small enough, about 4 or 5, to get up underneath them and to look up at the clothes and into the center where you could actually see up to the ceiling. And it was a very high ceiling. You see, the promise of a whipping usually settled us down when Mama caught us underneath those clothes racks. So we would sit down on the floor and we would wait patiently for her to finish once that edict was given to us. Well, I was in there one day with my mother and my sister, and I went to a counter, and I looked up on the counter, and I peeked up on my tiptoes, and I saw this most beautiful cellophane-wrapped 3-pack of socks. They were pastel, they were pink and yellow and blue, baby blue. Oh, I wanted those socks so bad. And it looked like a present waiting just for me to come. I could envision my name tag on it already. I needed those socks. Like a good child, though, I went to my mother with them and I said, "Look, I need these. I want them." And she immediately answered, "No." I couldn't believe that she would not let me have those socks. Those 3 pairs of socks. I wanted them so bad that I asked her again, "Mama, I need these socks. I want them." I said, "No. Go put them back." I did as requested, and I walked around a little bit with my lips stuck out, I'm sure. And I began to look around the store and see all of the different things that were available for me. And on the cash register was this huge ornate, on the counter, there was this huge ornate cash register, gold, brass-looking thing. It was very large. It made a dinging noise when the clerks would go up to it and push these buttons that would go way down, $15.95, and the door would pop open with another ding, and all that cash that was there was available. Now, I wasn't tall enough in height to see that cash, but I knew there was cash in there because I would watch the clerks and Mr. Anton as they gave customers their money from a purchase. Well, Mama was distracted for a few minutes, and as children do, I made my way back to those socks. I eyed them forlornly, and I firmly resolved in my own mind to take them with me that day. Have I ever told you that I'm stubborn, a little hard-headed? Surely she would let me keep them if I could just get that cellophane wrapped package just under my shirt. When Mama came around the corner and located us, she said, "Let's go." We rushed for the door. And as soon as I got outside of those big doors, I pulled my socks from up underneath my shirt, and I waved them in my mother's face, and I said, "I have them, Mama, look." She came undone. She came unhinged in the middle of downtown Greenwood in front of Aunt Coon's store. She was so disappointed and just didn't believe that I had actually done such a thing. Without a word, she turned me around and she marched me and my sister back in. Lynette, I'm sure, was behind a very large amount of distance. She marched me back into the department store, into Antoon's, and she walked right up to that big old huge counter with the cash register on it, and she demanded to see the owner of the store. Wow. I remember wondering whether or not I was going to get something more than a whipping that day. Truth told, I probably already knew that I was going to get two, because my mother was going to whip me when we got home, and my daddy was going to whip me when he got home. I was too scared and horrified to know really what to say at that point, and fear was in my stomach, and I wondered if something other than a whipping might be coming in the future. I just didn't know what it was. Mr. Anton came up to the counter on the opposite side, right by that large gold cash register, and he asked how he could help us. And I, of course, was crying by that time, and he said, "What's wrong?" And Mama told him I had something to tell him. Wasn't sure what that was, but I swallowed and knew that I had to come up with something. And I looked up at him and I extended my arm and gave him those socks. And he kind of glared at me and he said, "Do you not know that stealing is wrong?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, why did you take those socks?" I wanted them. And he said again, "Well, why did you take the socks without paying for them?" And I just kind of started crying. Tears started rolling down my face. I said, "I don't know." My mama said, "You must apologize to Mr. Anton." "Linda, what do you have to say?" I said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. I won't do it ever again." Mamas teach lessons like that. And I will tell you that it is almost impossible for me to pick up a penny off the street because my mother taught me that lesson really well. Most mothers bring to mind the love chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. You know the scripture. It's the love chapter. You know it. Love is patient. My mama had patience. Love is kind. My mama was kind on most days. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud. Love never gives up. Love never fails. It's always hopeful. And it endures in every circumstance. While I did not feel all of those things when my mama corrected me, I knew it was for a good reason, and I learned my lesson. We did not take things that did not belong to us. We lived by a high standard of behavior. Knowledge and experience helps us to grow into who we are created to be by God. And mothers help us to do that. Jesus is telling his disciples and his friends, his traveling companions, that he's going away. He's telling them goodbye. In the commentary, the next three chapters are called the farewell discourse. The next three chapters are called the farewell discourse. He's working diligently, you see, to get them ready for his absence from them. He gives them a new command. You heard me read it. Love others as I have loved you. And then he said, by following that command, everyone will know that you are my disciples. Our scripture for today is comforting in these challenging times. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, also believe in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I'm going there to prepare a place for you? What a promise. Jesus prepares for our arrival. Jesus tells us he's coming back and will take us where we can be with him. He's been teaching them the way to live so that they can join him in paradise. He tells them in verse 4, after all they know the way to the place where he is going. Jesus has reminded them of what is important in their lives. By loving each other, people will know that they are Jesus' disciples. They are connected to Jesus. Jesus says that our Christ-like love will show that we are his disciples. Are we living into that? Are we loving each other like Christ loved us? Jesus lays out the path for his disciples and for us. Do people know that we are Christians by our love? Thomas wants clarification. You know, Siri and Google Maps, they just weren't available in those days. And he says, I don't know where you're going, Jesus, and we don't know which way to go. The disciples want to cling to the perceived safety of location. They want to know where Jesus is going and how to get there with him. Throughout the Gospel of John, location is used as a metaphor to the intimacy of the relationship with God. The sheep are kept close to the shepherd. We talked about that last week. If they don't understand how close Jesus is to the heart of God, they've been traveling together for 3 years, and the shepherd is still preparing them to walk their own journey of faith. Jesus reminds them that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And in order to go down the right road, they must see Jesus as both God and man. We have the Bible to help us study and accept this truth. They have Jesus Christ teaching them how to abide. We have Jesus as well. By uniting our lives with Jesus, we are united with God. As the way, Jesus is our path to the Father. As the truth, he is the reality of all God's promises. As the life, he joins his divine life to ours, both now and eternally. Jesus is, in truth, the only living way to the Father. The statement, whoever has seen me has seen the Father, is one of the highest Christological claims from Jesus. Not only does Jesus not speak on his own, he does not perform works by himself either. God and Jesus are one. Both works and words are revealing something unknown of life from above. The disciples are weary. They're travel-worn, they're shell-shocked, and they're stressed. Yet Jesus pushes them to remember who he is in the full picture. God is in Jesus, Jesus is in God, and they are one. And we become part of that one through the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. When we believe in Jesus, we are promised that we will do even greater works because Jesus will be with God. He's in the Father's house where he can advocate and intercede on our behalf, and our works will bring glory to God through the Son. God promises to love us, to make room for us, to know and be known by us. Never ends. Therefore, our hearts need not be troubled. We're called to bring heaven here on earth. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Are we bringing the kingdom of God down to earth? You see, we are God's children. We need not fear tomorrow, for God goes before us. Jesus set his face toward Jerusalem. He brought others with him on the journey, and as he moved towards the cross, his kingdom vision was being implemented. Jesus brought heaven on earth through love. The disciples were witnesses to this deep, deep love of Jesus. He tells his disciples what is going to happen to him. He gives them details about the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the ascension. The disciples are going to face the end of the incarnation, the end of Jesus' presence on earth as God. Jesus needs them to know that there is more beyond the crucifixion, which for John is the inevitable outcome of being human. There are promises of life after death. Jesus gives them the rest of the story. I will die. I will rise again on the third day, and I will ascend to my Father in heaven. So just as Jesus will ascend to the Father, so also will Jesus' believers. He goes to prepare an abiding place for us. The root of the term abide is meno, which is John's favorite and most often used word to describe being in a relationship with Jesus. So are we preparing ourselves by staying close to the heart of God? Are we doing good works? Faith without works is dead. Jesus is feeling the pressure to up the ante with his disciples. Time is getting short. He chastises both Simon Peter and Philip in front of the other disciples because of their disbelief. Jesus is preparing to leave, and they need to know the way to the Father. I am the way comes from the wisdom literature of the Old Testament, especially the book of Proverbs. John presents Jesus as the wisdom teacher. Throughout the book of Proverbs, various images are used for wisdom: a path or a way, precious treasure, light, a fountain of life, food for the journey. Jesus' I am statements in John's Gospel attribute these benefits of following wisdom's path to following Jesus. Listen to them. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the gate for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I'm the resurrection and the life. I am the true vine. Wisdom involves patterns of behavior, not just isolated acts. We use what we have been taught to make wise decisions. Jesus has been taught how to abide by his mother Mary and by God. Jesus has been teaching his disciples those same lessons for almost 3 years. As are we consulting the great I am before we make decisions? Or are we taking cell phone wrapped pastel socks out of the storehouse for ourselves? Are we on the right track in life? Are we following Jesus as he teaches us through his word? Are we learning as his disciples today? Jesus is saying to his disciples then and now, come on now, you know this. I've taught you this. We've been through this before, you and I. Hold on to the promise. It will not let you down. I am the way. In me you see God. In me you meet and will meet God through your consistent relationship. My presence will sustain your spirit. As I recite promises we can count on, I want you to say, I am the way. So I got to practice. I am the way. Are you ready? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? I am the way. In my Father's house are many dwelling places. I am the way. I go to prepare a place for you. I am the way. I will come again and will take you to myself so that where I am, there you may be also. I am the way. Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. I am the way. The words I say to you I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. I am the way. The one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact, greater works than these. I am the way. Now, what's the good news? The good news is we know the way. Go and remember that Jesus taught his disciples then and now that he is the way to the Father. Amen. You will turn to Wonderful Words of Light, 600. Stand.
Wonderful words
Mother's Day.